We're now entering the Longleaf Trailhead, and I scouted this place out yesterday myself. Let me assure you, there are some beautiful views out here in the Florida wilderness. Still a bit dewy on the ground, but everything's in full bloom. I don't know if it's coming up on the microphone, but it is just brimming with life out here. Also of note, once again, maybe not surprising to Florida natives, but at least interesting to me, even in the middle of forest, you are still walking on sand, like heavy sand. As you trail off here into the foliage, you are still seeing sand. Now, I kept going forward yesterday, so let's try taking the left path. We are now getting into the part of the forest that is less necessarily heavy foliage on the bottom, but that all is starting to clear up, kind of shrink down to the point that we are left with these long skinny trees where you can just see through on, not to the end of the forest, but certainly very far through it. Over there was the path I took yesterday. Off that way eventually leads back to civilization. The path I take is not to extent, but there's another path. Right here is a bit more of an unmarked path leading off into God knows where. I saw a house back that way. Might be able to see it, that touch of white behind the trees. So I know that eventually this way you might be getting back into civilization. But I don't know that for sure. Still, adventure calls. Get it on. I'm running into more than one spider web here, which means this is definitely the path less traveled. And much to my pleasant surprise, I'm starting to see thicker trees, which, once again, not a tree expert, so take all this with a grain of salt, but I'm willing to bet indicates them as older, less touched, or untouched rather, by human activity. Oh, that's a tick. It's a tick on my leg. Little bastard. Not too far from my previous log, I may have to stop here because this is where the path starts getting filled up with yesterday's rainwater. Probably also helped by the rain. Compared to the musky city air, the air is so fresh and exhilarating out here. One must wonder, what happened to this tree? Doesn't appear to be human-centric damage, considering everything else around here is relatively untouched. Perhaps dead? Damaged by the weather? Particularly intense storm? Who knows? Over here, we see a very densely packed wall of trees. And this whole time that I've been crossing over this path back here, I've been seeing houses, human houses, on my peripheral vision. So I wonder if this is the entrance to a deeper section of forest, or maybe if this is the last barrier before you reach human civilization. There doesn't seem to be any path through this thicket of trees, so that answer will remain elusive. I have no idea what these tracks could be. Though, if I had to take a guess, based on oh, that's my track. But based on previous signage, perhaps raccoons of some sort. We are now up close and personal with these taller, thicker trees that I had seen from a distance before. And what a beauty they are. We have here another set of tracks, much larger and more definitively different. Honestly, I want to say, while this could have just been like a very messy paw print, these two look like different tracks to me. But if I did have to guess, these do carry the hallmarks of one Canis domesticus. I don't remember the Latin name for a dog, now I think about it, but probably someone walking a dog here. Now that we're getting into the tamer part of the forest, this is what I was describing yesterday. Not necessarily a lack of foliage, but a lot lower to the ground, a lot more of these shorter plants, and therefore you get a fully unobstructed view of the tree line. But yeah, just a stretch of trail where once again we're beginning to see taller and taller levels of oh, that was a sizable spider web. Oh Christ, I'm alright. No spiders on me. I just caught a mouthful of whatever had been caught in that spider web. While I wish I could show you actual animals, I suppose tracks will have to suffice. This looks more like a hoof. Perhaps a deer or something of that persuasion. By this point, the lower levels of, I keep saying foliage, I imagine there's a better word, but I didn't take biology in college. The lower levels of foliage here have gotten so thick that compared to before, I can hardly see 20, 30 feet in front of me. I am really in the thick of it. I'm still seeing trail signs, and I'm still seeing signs of human activity in terms of footprints, but oh man, I didn't go nearly this deep yesterday. It's not a bad thing to be lost out in nature. If anything, I'm a bit excited to see where this path leads and what I will find upon it. But just know that you and I, both, dear viewer, are in for a surprise.
Not the answer we're looking for. I know, that is so embarrassing for you guys. So we're going to turn down the mic, turn down the music, and feel free to listen as Brooke and Ada show off that sea line song.
You know, this feels like the start of a horror movie, letting my curiosity guide me further and further into the woods. That wasn't a horror movie, but I've heard it was decent. At least the original Broadway production was. One of nature's little cues that, hey, maybe humans should not proceed any further, at least not with these walking shoes, is giant puddles of water that block the path. So, I'm going to call the end of this path here. There was one path I saw, another branching path that leads this area, which is somewhat the direction I came from. So, I'm going to walk back, take the first exit out of here, and we will see where that leads. I did see this on my way up the trail, but I decided not to commentate on it before, but still curious. More pollution, of course. Looks to be some sort of ugly carpet? Ugly rug? I got no clue what this stuff is. Definitely human-made, for sure. You can see the fabric tearing and rotting on the edges. But what it was before, once again, no earthly clue. So I've split off from the main road, now on another dense forest path. I'm hearing a lot more noises on this one. Something buzzing in the bushes, something moving in the underbrush. Underbrush, that's the word I was looking for. So I don't know if this is a more populated section of the forest. But, by God, whatever it is, I certainly hope it's not snakes. And once again, we stumble upon a rather immaculately designed spider web with a different looking spider, but a humongous, terrifying spider nonetheless. Explorer's log, take number whatever, If there's anything that this forest is plentiful in, it's bees. They're all pretty friendly, of course. I've got nothing against bees, and they're very important for the survival of this planet. And none of them have ever come up to stung me. But you walk 5 feet, and you hear a buzzing. Somewhat ominously, I'm now in a stretch of these woods where you see several, count them, several dead trees. I mean, look all through that thicket, you can see so many of those trees have died. Cute little purple flower. We're now past the thicket of dead trees, and once again just into a section of deeper forest. By now, I'm getting into maybe a different breed of tree, because now I'm no longer able to see clear plumb through. The foliage isn't as deep, and once again we've got a healthy mix of sand and soil with a lot of these pine needles. I'm guessing these are pine trees. Somewhere in this picture is another massive spider. Well, here we are at the end of the trail, or at least this particular trail. And yeah, I'm exiting out in the middle of butt fucking nowhere onto what is apparently private property. It's quiet. Dead quiet. Oh, well, not anymore, but very quiet. Ominously quiet out here. How far I'm walking along this highway, I don't know. We've got yet another giant spider atop a giant spider web. How I'll find all the species, but interesting. Oh, look at that. Along my journey, I've successfully exited the highway area. I followed that wildlife trail you last saw me on for a while. Now I've made my way to a quaint suburban neighborhood. I left that particular suburb called The Village, but I'm not yet out of the suburban sprawl. I'm making a little stop along my long and winding road. Got a bit of an interesting looking building. Sunrise Coffee Co., Rise and Grind. One of the highlights that I was hoping to record yesterday is Draper Lake, which is a highlight in terms of how sad it is, really. I mean, looking at the just devastation. I mean, maybe it always looked like this, I don't know, but yellowing waters, it's real sad to see. Oh, and you better believe it stinks to high heavens.